Hello everyone. Today I will review the top movie of this tip. In 2052, at this time, people exploited the resources on the ground. The Earth lacks trees and minerals. The scientific and technical level is now very good. Humans can go to other planets to exploit minerals to bring to the Earth. Jack Charlie, a Navy soldier, his legs were seriously injured in a war. Now he lives on social allowances. However, this steel man does not want to receive the pity of anyone. Jack saw a big guy who was bullying a girl. He pulled the chair and gave him a game. However, he was thrown out of the shop 3 minutes later. Jack feels happy to do a meaningful thing. At this time, 2 men came to find him. There was something happening to Jack's younger brother. They took Jack to a crematorium. Open the paper coffin. Inside is his younger brother. Tommy died in a robbery. Now they ask him to replace the position of Tommy. If the Jack's gene code is appropriate, he will experience a new life. Especially the generous money can bring his feet. Jack is frozen on the spacecraft for 6 years. The line moved to the planet Pandora. The ecosystem of this place is similar to the soil bottle, but the atmosphere here is toxic to humans. So they had to equip oxygen face. The plane landed on a mineral mining area. At this point, they are mercenaries, get money and work for companies. Here, the commander of the company's security forces, Colonel Maiwa Ditch, warned all the dangers of this land to the rookies. Especially in it is the race of the Navi people, with a height of 3 meters, and they have a skeleton that is tried with carbon fibers. A young scientist named Nam Spell torn to the lab. The task of Tyr is to control the body Avatar. They are created from human DNA mixing with Navi DNA. Grace Augustine is a leader of Pandora. Dr. Grace went to CEO Parker Ralphie. Parker took a gray solid on the table and showed it to Grace. This is Utonium metal, a superconductor sold for $20 million for 1 sign. And that is the main reason why people are far away, to this planet. The next day, Dr. Grace was surprised to know that he was not connected to the body of Avatar. The chest closed the connection process. Perhaps the compatible gene code makes the process connecting to the Avatar simple. Torn opened his eyes. He looked at the new body. The toes of the Torn begins to move. It has been a long time since Torn to feel this feeling. It is a miracle. Torn began to stand up and step by step. He pushed the door outside. Then Torn began to run on his own feet, feeling like being revived. He buried his feet on the ground, feeling cool and cool. Dr. Grace picked a fruit throwing to Tyr and praised him to do very well. Torn bite a wonderful feeling. After that, Dr. Grace iron lights to go to bed. The rest of the Avatar's body is when they return to the people close to people. Colonel Hua Ditch called to meet. He promised to bring his legs to Tyr. If he accepted to provide research information to him, they started research again. This time, they went further than expected. Torn has the opportunity to see the nature here is miraculous. The helicopter flew over a stream and landed at the nearby forest. Torn is a responsible soldier. He always holds a gun ready to face dangerously. In front of them, there were a few animals called Fronberings. They look very cute, right? Dr. Grace led them to a leaf game. This is the place where she teaches the children Navi. They are very bright and learn English very quickly. Tearing the bullets on the door is done by whom? They continued to enter the forest again primeval. Grace extracted needle tube and easy to measure energy activity. Curious Torn forward. He met very fancy twisted leaves. As soon as they touched, they were tiny. Torn feels interested in this naughty game. However, there was a ragged dinosaur seeing tearing. Grace came to warn Tears not to anger it, and bullets cannot penetrate its thick skin. Tearing the animal is aggressive. He shouted back to see it standing still and ran back to his mother. He fantasy of his strength that he made it run away. When returning, behind a predator's called Thanator. It screamed with the dinosaurs. Seeing Honey goes to breakfast to Torn to look friendly. Tear all the instinct to run quickly. He crawled into a big tree. However, it tried to kill Tears. He guns but still did not lose. The fierce animal has already bitten. It turned out that it was just a backpack. Tear continues to run. He accidentally fell into a waterfall. The beast was extremely angry when losing a good bait. Escaped from danger, but Torn lost his teammates. He sharpened a branch to defend himself. The Navi girl, Nitizi, discovered a stranger to this place. She was about to give him an arrow impregnated with poison. The seed of the soul warned her not to kill him. As a marine soldier, he made a torch. The night hunting dogs here are also very strange, with a large number and dog tactics. Out of this one and then to another. Torn attack. It seemed that he had turned into their dishes. Netizi now appears. With the skill of the high battle, it is not too difficult to beat the wild dog. She threw Cast in the water, then helped the dog to get rid of pain. Tears realized the creatures in the forest are all glowing. I thank the girl for helping. However, she pushed him to the ground and blamed it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have like that. Torn feels this girl is quite interesting. Please let me follow. But she resolutely refused. Soul seeds appear, tearing hand to chase them, but she did not allow it. The seed of the spirit has been torn all over. Realize this is a report from Ethru, so she accepted to torn back to the family. The boy is quite mischievous with Pandora's incredible scenery. The grass where he walked over, suddenly there was a string tied to the leg, causing tears to fall. A tribal hunter appeared around Torn, led by Sute, the fiancé of Netizi. She said he had a sign of Ethru. Everyone escorted to the magic tree. Here he met countless Na'vi. Netizi, headed by the father of the patriarch, Netizi Toucan. He did not like the appearance of Tearing. Tearing's mother is a tissue. She is the spiritual leader of the tribe. After reviewing, she accepted and assigned to Netizi a mission: only teach people in their way of living. Torn is Netizi leading to their dinner. He clumsily kicked a girl's rearing. Tearing is sitting down to live with the tribe. Netizi's fiancé doesn't seem to like to tear it very much. Tear of asking beautiful people. He went to sleep. This is a hammock on the magic tree. Tear falls asleep consciously. He returns to the real person. It turned out that Dr. Grace called him to wake up for a long time. But the state of A and I made him fascinated like death. Doctor is happy to have lunch with the group, and she did not understand why the Ormatica people chose this boy. Through Dedrutha was also very surprised by the results that the new soldier brought. Dr. Grace let Tears review the image of the bears in the Ormatica tribe. She said Netizi and her sister Su-Anan were once her students, and Su-Anan is already dead. The transition he was taught by the beauty to ride a horse. This child is called People, and they are not males. Tear, the bun linked with the horse. Netizi told you to feel it, and control the animal with the thought in the mind. The theory has finished. The practices. Torn has fallen in the right way. Sute seemed to look down and think that the stone was better than Tearing. Netizi ignored the satire and continued to teach him. Returning to the command base, Tear indicates the structure inside the magic tree and the way of moving of the Omatikaza. The scientific group saw tears informing the director and colonel. Grace decided to move the research room outside. The plane took them to a lab on Pandora's suspended mountains. These mountains are like in Halong Bay, so Netizi, calling their gods. She said this was X-Ran, and each X-Ran will only fly with a single hunter in its whole life. To be able to become a hunter, Torn must choose a X-Ran for themselves, and it must choose to tear. Then she wore glasses and non-straight into the sky. Torn saw a sense of excitement. Next, she taught him how to hold the palace and posture. With Netizi, there is only fast or die. Torn jumping from above to the banana ships. He also asked for permission to buy art for Grace into the village. He was taught by the beauty. It is true that the fire is almost long, for a long time. The two began to develop emotions. They also chased flowers to catch butterflies together. The body of the Torn goes through too much time in the box. He lost weight seriously. Grace forced him to eat something. Tearing, what happened to Grace's class? She told the story the day before her sister Netizi and some young hunters. Because of dissatisfaction, he burned a nearby bulldozer. The army was close to the classroom and killed her in front of Netizi. Since then, Netizi has never been to the classroom. Returned to the body of the avatar, he hunted an animal and prayed like a true Na'vi. To seize Ikran, the hunter group leads Tear to the residence of this species. It must be a courageous person to walk through the roads to Ikran's whereabouts. In front of the countless dragons, Sute told Netizi that Torn will be the first duty. She taught him to choose the Ikran for yourself. Tear steps slowly to the Ikran. They mostly fly away to avoid contact with him. There was an Ikran, probably chose to Torn as its master, so it proved to attack him. Tear of controlling the dragon, he had a consciousness of the meat with Ikran. He started his first flight with his dragon. After experiencing difficulties, the sweet fruit also comes to Tear. He successfully controlled Ikran as he wanted.
Natitsi rides a dragon to chase the boy. It may be torn without a hunter's blood, but he may be born to do it. Ter has been officially recognized as a hunter. He and she flew through the miraculous places. Perhaps only riding Ikran, he saw scenes like this. Sute led the hunter group. They started hunting rhino dinosaurs. Ter has gradually become part of this tribe. From above, a big dragon is rushing to attack them. Ter has taken advantage of a gene with a cord to stop it. The two laughed happily when escaping from death. She led to the close of a huge dragon that was big. This person rides this child called Big Ghost, and in legend only 5 people can ride it, and her grandfather was the last. Now Tering does not know where his real world. Colonel thanked him for completing the task, and as his promise, he will have his legs as soon as he returns to Earth. But Torn still refused the opportunity. He still wants to
stay to advise Na'vi to resettle. It seems dissatisfied and left. The Na'vi people think that each person is born twice, the second time that you have a foothold in your fellow. The patriarch admitted he was the son of the clan Ajia. All people here wearing each other's shoulders shows their tears. The Torn Ladizi came to the soul tree. This is where the prayers are heard. She connected to Easy Tree, then pray. Torn is also connected to the sacred tree. He can hear the sound of the Na'vi ancestors inside. She said he was an Auker, really, and can choose a woman. I said I had chosen for a long time, and that person was me. The two kissed under the tree. She gave her the most valuable thing. The next morning, the bulldozer started to attack. The nearby soul trees are almost flat. The army has dissipated mercilessly. The stretching of the Torn to call. He saw everything horribly. Tyr signs for the car to stop. But Parker still did not care about indigenous people, but went straight to back. He jumped to smash the camera's camera. This is unfortunate when passing through the camera. At the magic tree, the patriarch assigned Sute to command to counter human. When Torn appeared, Sute knew that he had paired with his woman. This may seem a bit ugly. Tyr of their enemies out there, and they are very strong. Sute, even if he Torn, he still wanted to finish this bastard. But when he was about to tell the truth about himself, he took the soldiers to the lab to catch people. Before he could confess to the whole clan, he fainted. Sute took advantage of this time to finish him, but Lady Z intervened at the right time. The colonel had a full evidence that Na'vi would never give up the magic tree. In another place, Sute led the hunter group to destroy the excavators, through Parker's right to attack the magic tree. The pilot uncle went to report to Dr. Grace that the colonel was leading the army to declare war. Parker allows the book to be the last chance, that is, within an hour, to advise them to leave the magic tree. Jack returned to the tribe to advise Na'vi to leave the magic tree immediately. Because the people were coming, he confessed that he was installed on them for information. Natizi felt disappointed with Jack because he deceived her and the whole tribe. She pushed Jack away and said he would never be part of them. The patriarch ordered them to Deeply. The colonel's battleship and small aircraft headed to the magic tree. Jack and Grace tried to advise everyone to flee into the deep forest. The colonel saw Jack's glare and understood that the negotiation had failed. He shot the gas directly into the magic tree. Na'vi people were suffocating due to gas to flee. The other group uses arrows to return the aircraft. Bow of wooden arrows should not cause damage to the plane. The colonel was angry to shoot missiles into the magic tree. At this time, the flames filled the ground. The patriarch ordered everyone to go straight to the forest. Moat came to Jack to take off and beg him to save the whole clan. The colonel continued to enhance all the fire. Only Judy's plane did not listen to the colonel's order. The magic tree does not seem to be able to resist the destructive power of people, and began to fall to the ground. After the disaster of countless Na'vi people injured, they screamed and cried in front of the sacred tree. The colonel saw this scene extremely hada and retreated to the base. Natizi saw that his father was injured and dying. He handed the tree to her as the leader. She screamed violently and chased him to close him. At Parker headquarters, he captured the Grace Doctor group and Torn into a solitary confinement. The female pilot, Judy, felt dissatisfied with what the colonel's name caused. She rescued a group of people, Torn, and flew away. The colonel discovered and discharged the bullets into the helicopter.
They escaped safely, but Grace unfortunately hit the bullets. They took a laboratory and flew into the deep forest. Tearing a place where Na'vi will go there is the soul tree. He returned to the body of the Avatar. Tear of my Igrinpems. He has a crazy thought. It was the last chance for him to save the situation now, in the last soul tree. And the rest are praying for those who have sacrificed. A giant animal from above the bar. This is the last dragon in the big legend to help and ride. It is to help Makata will be the commander of the Na'vi ethnic group. At this time, everyone Na'vi started to kneel to welcome the hero who would save the whole clan. Now TV has accepted the return of Torn, and she was no longer worried about the future of Torn. He asked for the help of Sute to fight together to protect the people of Omataka. Tear of the tissue, please save Dr. Grace. To be able to save Grace, only one way is to swap human consciousness to Avatar. But because the wound was too severe, Grace was died shortly after. This torn more indignation of the colonel who caused the warfare. He urged everyone and the tribes to stand up to fight together. Tearing to help lead the Na'vi army began to call on tribes. Big help Mikado called for them, so tribes are ready to fight with their lives. Colonel sent soldiers to use all existing force to attack the final base of the Na'vi. He gave the infantry and armor close to attack the ground. In the air, Na'vi has ambushed and began to attack.
Wazik's troops. Unexpectedly ambushed, he could not back up. The attackers attacked the pilot position. Despite being lost, the firepower of the colonel remained superior to Na'vi warriors. The colonel focused on the fire chasing. He drove loudly to help avoid his bullets. Judy was clicked from above, but it seemed that firepower was still weaker than Wazik's battleship. Judy's plane also hit the bullets and was destroyed shortly thereafter. Na'vi's infantry ground in a large number, but his hand could not fight back with state-of-the-art guns. Quickly, the overwhelming Na'vi forces had to withdraw backwards. A plane follows Nate Z. It hit her dragon. Both people and dragons fall to the ground. She saw each person in the tribe dying in the rain of human bullets. Suda has jumped on the battleship. He killed a lot of soldiers. But unfortunately, he was hit by bullets and fell from the ship. During the endangered, Adua's mother heard the plea of tearing. Countless animals in the river forest, they avoid Na'vi and rushed into Wazik's army. They even volunteered to ride for Na'vi. In the air, the dragon gods are all concentrated in large numbers. Wazik's fire no longer works with them. Torn attacked the bomb containing the colonel's bomb and easily hit the ship. Arriving at the commander, Wazik saw a torn of 2 grenades. However, a fruit punctured the ship. Then he promptly threw a warhead into the battery tor, causing the battleship to explode. Wazik quickly wore the armor out of the battleship. He plans to attack the human body of the Torn. But Neytiri promptly arrived at him. She crushed the gun, but this robot was too strong. He used a knife to finish the life of the pet's life. He also tried to kill her when the tear appeared. Wazik said when he stopped breathing, everything ended. The body was a warrior, so he dodged the dysfunctions of the colonel. He stabbed a knife, but there was still a distance to finish him. Wazik still focuses on the sadness of the body's body. He tried to stop, but failed. The toxic gas began to penetrate the real person. He gradually lost control in the body of Avatar. He grabbed his torn hair and pulled up, preparing to finish him. Neytiri gave him 2 arrows as a private gift. She promptly saved the real person's being. This time he was touched by his own face. Suda did not survive, and he hoped to tear himself in place of the Omatikaaza tribe. Except for Tearing and Young, all people have to go to the spacecraft to return to the Earth. The dark period has ended. At the end of the movie, Torn made the ritual of swapping his soul to the body of Avatar. Countless seeds of the soul gathered the body of the Torn. Coming here is the end of the movie Part 1. We also come to Part 2. After 14 years of waiting for the neck wearing the S, even my butt and his folding fleet grown to the groin. Finally, the director was released Part 2 of the movie Avatar with the name of the narrow slot between the legs. Well, the wrong flow of water. Now on the planet Pandora, Torn with Lightiri has built a happy family, with 2 sons, Netizum, Layak, and her daughter Tikteri.
In addition, they also adopt Kiri, daughter of female scientist Zare. However, so far they still do not know how she can become pregnant and born this girl while the body is being raised in cocoon survival. After the great battle with heavenly people, specifically the type of cruel greed from the earth, most of the invaders who sold salt or were kicked back to their homeland. Only a few scientists still stay with Na'vi and work together in the protection and development of this land. There is also the boy Spider-Con of Colonel Mice. Because his father was, the enemy did not play together. Neytiri did not want Spider to stay. However, the boy always wanted and tried to become original Na'vi. Thanks to that, he was considered by the Neytiri children as a close friend. It seems that Na'vi's life from now on will be peaceful. But the director said, the people of heaven once again appeared with the heart of invading the planet Pandora. This time, they carry countless high-tech machines, along with the assassin robots to burn a large area, causing many creatures to die in pain. Perhaps what Neytiri regretted the most right now was why not kill all the evil people at that time. On the other hand, at a spacecraft, Colonel Mice and his teammates were revived in the form of Avatar, also known as the Body. Although their real body is dead, consciousness is transformed into avatars. Thus, they will have the power of people Na'vi and human intelligence. And the Avatar army led by Mice will be sent to Pandora to pursue Jack and his wife. Jack himself was very busy because he had to bring the leader of the tribe against the earth, and to teach his children and protect his family. Among the 4 children, if the eldest brother of the god of fighting and the pride of his father, the younger brother worried and evil again. Instead of listening to his father, riding a dragon reconnaissance in the air, the younger brother flipped his eldest fleet. The consequences of what to do, causing the Na'vi tribes to be attacked by human plane. The eldest was shot and almost reunited with the ancestors soon. So the 2 brothers were cursed by their father to bald their heads. Because he wanted to protect his family and the tribe from the torn sky, brought all to hide into a cave in the flying mountains. Because this place is the home of the dragon,
There is a need for strangers to attack. They will attack. Meanwhile, Mice and the subordinates also landed on Pandora. Because he was anxious to take revenge, he went to the battlefield in the past, the place where his true body was shot by Neytiri, for green graves. Holding the skull in his hand, angry to level 7 immediately crushed it. However, this was seen by the torn children when they were walking nearby. The evil anxiety immediately reported that there was a situation for his father and was ordered to quickly help avoid causing noise and bored with the din. But I haven't been able to go away from the children, and we have been caught by awe. At this time, the colonel discovered that the kids had 5 fingers, which means that they are a hybrid, not a purebred Na'vi. Knowing this was a torn child, Mice called to ask the department to try the train to pick up. At the same time, he also discovered that the human being was his own son. But Mice did not tell anyone but temporarily kept a secret, because now there is a solar eclipse, so the train concubine cannot come immediately. Thanks to that, the couple, Torn and the wife, had the opportunity to rescue their children. They asked the eldest son to stay guard, and he quickly moved to the scene. Seeing the children being controlled by the enemy on Tiri land using the signal to shock their children. After that, Dun Kung shot the apple of the soldier who was threatening Kiri. Suddenly attacked by the soldiers quickly turned on the counterattack, falling on the side of her. Receiving, when they did not notice the children together, coordinated to escape from the Avatar soldiers. The accomplices were constantly selling salt and the hostage was robbed on the melon truss. Colonel Mice Slot Gay 2 let go of provocative words so that the couple could show their position. Determining the direction of Tiri, the colonel gave a consecutive shooting of soldiers. But she is not a medium but wide form, not only flexibly dodged ammunition but also can counterattack to destroy Din. Thinking of the colonel, this trip was empty-handed. Who expected the boy Spider, while running away, accidentally slipped to the ground? As a result, he was quickly captured by them, although he wanted to save him, but the couple Torn and Hay had to be helpless for them to take the boy away, and they also cannot hit much before the life of the children. Knowing that the bastard Mice will chase and kill himself, so tearing for his wife to take the children to escape to ensure safety for the whole family. But Neytiri does not accept this, because her mission is to protect people in the ethnic group.
He told his wife that Spider knew the position and all Na'vi plans, so he would definitely find them soon. Therefore, to ensure safety for everyone, there is only way to escape, for the person they want to find is our family, not the people in the clan. It sounds right, but not very uncomfortable, so Tiri also had to listen to her husband's arrangement. At the same time, at the operating center of the human army, Spider is being investigated, high-tech tons to make the position of tearing. Despite being abused from Pandora, the boy was still determined to not say half words. Seeing his son continue to be tortured, Mice worriedly turn off the device. He told the commander that he would use psychological manipulation to convince the boy to follow him. Meeting in a private room, he told Spider he was the son of Mice who was dead. Mice in the body of this avatar is only a body of his will, so the nature of two people has nothing to do with each other. But if he did not listen to the position that was torn and fled, all the people of the Na'vi tribe would definitely sell salt. At the same time, Tearing did the ritual to transfer the leader to another person. After that, he and his wife and children rode the dragon from his homeland. They fly straight to the sea to cross the ocean Pala, then stopped at a set called Mechaciner to give birth, in order to avoid the pursuit of the people. But because of the difference between the ethnic groups in the forest and the under the sea, the whole family has a very heavy Samson body. The weak forest people can survive in this sea. Although not wanting to contain a family will bring disaster to the tribe, the roof of the house has no idea, so the patriarch Owari had to accept them to stay. He sent his son and daughter, Tessie Guerrera, guides the torn children to get used to the lives of people in the sea. Contrary to the sister, Do easily understand and hospitable, the pond does not like the children of the house torn, because they are hybrid children, not the real Na'vi. The male leads themselves are not interested in living in a strange place, so they are also criticized by everyone. However, Tearing, as the breadwinner of the family, asked his wife and children to try to integrate and accept the new situation. The first thing that the whole family does is to practice diving to get used to the marine environment. While the eldest brother and the second brother struggled, Kiri's sister Kiri was adapted quite quickly. After a while, getting accustomed with children can also hold their breath for a long time. The scenery under the ocean is immense and beautiful. Worrying because he wanted to take lay with Tessie Guerrera, he should try the riding of the ethnic group in the sea. The result has not been able to go so far. This side, Jack is also not inferior.
When choosing a hybrid crocodile with dragonfly fish, this is a mount for warriors, so it is very aggressive and difficult to tame. Although the father is better than a son, the result is equally criticized. On the other side, Colonel ordered his accomplices to get used to the terrain and life of the Na'vi people. This can easily penetrate and completely master the avatar. After being provoked by Spider, he jumped on a dragon to tame it, thought that he would fall freely and crushed the river, who expected him to ride and fly up to everyone's astonishment. Mice also encourages juniors to follow to have more fighting vehicles. Returning to the adaptive lesson on the seafloor, the Kiri girl suddenly showed her talent to control the plankton with the ability to glow. Enjoying exploring the surrounding life, Kiri was teased by the pond and local children. Seeing that, the eldest brother and Mr. High immediately ran to protect his sister. Unexpectedly, Natim could make the pawns fear. He had to go into the water and pulled his juniors away. But worried, the evil life wanted to teach them a lesson. He showed a holy smile, then went straight to the road to the representative of the patriarch's son in the sea. After a few rescuers, the pond immediately woke up to counterattack and worried about the evil, then missed, so the elder brother also rushed into the corner of the fun together to exchange martial arts. As a result, the two faces are attracted. Knowing the torn story, immediately reprimanded the evil, despite knowing that the son just wanted to protect his younger sister. He asked to worry about apologizing to the pond because his father was crazy outdoing the bridge. That stayed. Before he left, he also asked which side was worse. They were beaten by me for their heads. Do my best. So the evil worried and forced to apologize to the patriarch's son. In addition to the pond agreed to apologize, but there was a dark conspiracy behind his back to take revenge. It lured, the evil was born to hunt for fish to prove himself as a true warrior. Although he knew this was a place where the forbidden was not approached, the newspaper was still following their friends.
Arriving at the pond to take advantage of the time to worry, the evil hunted the fish secretly with the juniors to leave this place. The newspaper was bewildered in the middle of the ocean. It was intended to go home. Suddenly, a giant monster appeared to attack his evil and writing. He chased after Ilu, but was distorted why he turned the car to attack, and was probably because Navi meat was better. The monster Aquila opened his mouth to reveal the bright white teeth as if using BAF toothpaste. The newspaper was afraid of falling into hunting into the form of hunting to hide, but the monster decided not to forgive him. It constantly destroyed the hiding place of the evil. At this time, Osi was about to run out, so he could not play hiding with it forever. He did not see the monster around him, but he could not swim up, but he couldn't swim as far as he was unexpectedly. Aquila appeared to worry. Quickly, evil. Thought this trip to meet the ancestors soon. Suddenly, Ton Kun, a super huge legendary whale, from swimming to catch Aquila. But the evil worried at this time was out of Osi and then gradually sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Until he woke up, the boy found himself riding on the back of the animal of 4 giant eyes. The newspaper expressed his thank you to Ton Kun for saving me. Taking care of the evil also showed good mind when removing the nose of the hook was plugged onto the sage for it. But this helped both of them become closer. Ton Kun then also took the newspaper to play cry and hide in the seafloor. At this time, at home, torn, not knowing how to comfort Kiri's adopted daughter who was puberty, she told her father that she felt lost in this world. And myself always hears the urge from the great soul tree of the Navi ethnic group. Not yet resolved the confession of the adopted girls, the male lead receiving the news that the newspaper was seduced by the pond. In the dangerous area, he worried that many people in the village searched for anxiety. And Evil knew that everyone was looking for himself, so the golden kids fled, and he himself returned to present. The patriarch knew that the son played a little bit. Worried, the Evil almost lost his life. He was angry and scolded him like, "It hurts." However, the Evil worried about getting all the errors about themselves to reduce stress. Now it is the book that cursing the newspaper is the shame of the family. Being cursed for the pen made the boy warm out, but the acknowledgement of instead of the pond has made the prison son appreciate the collection into friends, so the conflicts of the children of the 2 houses were neutralized. Worried about telling the story to meet Ton Kun for all of them, Tessie came out and said that it was a son, abandoned, called Farrakhan, because in the past he had killed a lot of fellow humans. This is an extremely dangerous and cruel creature, so they don't believe it has saved and Evil. It was very difficult to have a cool friend and now said so. I told you that we are not the same level, and then angry to find Farrakhan to talk. Meanwhile, the rest of the children came together to the god of the sea in the sea. Here, Kiri used the end of the hair to connect with the soul tree. Ton Kun
meet Gray and asked about her father who had never appeared, but before she could hear the answer, she suddenly had a seizure. The souls hurriedly helped Kiri disconnect and take them to the village for emergency treatment. Seeing that her daughter healed more or less, Jack asked the Avatar doctor in the old village. They used many modern equipment to check and conclude that the girl was epilepsy. If Kiri connects to the magic tree again, it is afraid that it is difficult to keep life. At this time, Neytiri tricked the patriarch's wife to help her daughter. She angrily chased these blind doctors out because the Navi tribe was different from the Earth. As expected, the patriarch's wife successfully helped Kiri retain her life. But the fact that Jack contacted the doctors here accidentally created a strange signal that made mice suspected. Guess the male lead hiding in the islands outside, so he decided to take troops to check. Because he did not know exactly what is Jack on the island, the colonel occupied the boat of a Ton Kun hunting man to force him to help him. At this moment, Ton Kun began to return to the village where Jack's family was hiding. The whale is considered as the intensive siblings of the under the sea, so everyone is happy to swim to the beach to welcome them. At the same time, Mice uses the wrong killing tactic than missing. He waved the army to attack all suspicious villages to force them to declare Jack's position. Witnessing the name of the colonel forced the burning of the village just to achieve his goals, Spider began to be uncomfortable. News of the unjustly attacked villages came to Jack's place. Knowing the situation was very dangerous, but the patriarch still ordered the people to sleep secretly, so Mice was still not informed. He immediately thought of an extremely dirty plan. This side, worried Pazatan told the secret about why it was considered a traitor.
It turned out that its mother had been captured by humanity. Khan wanted to save his mother, so he called his fellow Na'vi people to rescue. However, the power of man was too great that all died. Only it was the only creature from that massacre. Although they have to pay the price by losing a siege, it is still convicted of being a murderer of the fellow. The incident was worried and evil with the rebellious army, which made the patriarch's husband and wife extremely angry. The children were Shoa's fathers, but the newspaper was still not cutting off the friendship with Khan. At the same time, the colonel also began his dark plan. He opened a rejuvenating hunting to lure Tear up. And by chance the animal is aimed for them, the heart of the couple, the head of the prisoner. In the sea, they fired the navigation device so that the whale could not escape the search, then use floats to make it unable to swim quickly. Seeing the mother and daughter Tunquan diving into the evil people immediately shot the ultrasound bomb, forcing them to float to the surface of the water. In the end, the small ships were dropped down. Launching a warhead containing explosives killed the mother of whale. Unexpectedly, humans hunted and ended this giant creature, just because a few compounds die from the brain of Tunquan. It is possible to slow down the aging process, and the flesh is thrown away. Usually, after obtaining a liquid tube, the evil people will leave the animal to sink to the bottom of the sea to erase the trace. But this time, mice deliberately kept the scene, to make the people of the Mashalaner tribe angry and torn. As expected, after knowing that Tunquan Shikiak was killed, the patriarch's wife was extremely angry. They summoned people to stand up to dry blood with the evil people for revenge. But tearing immediately stopped, because he knew it is to lure the snake out of the cave, mice. So he asked the people to report to the religious army quickly escaping away. If you see the navigation device attached to the person, he will help remove it. That is better than confronting the people of heaven equipped with weapons to teeth. Then go to sell salt. Seeing the words of the tearing, the patriarch decided to follow. While everyone rushed to the sea to find a way to contact Tunquan, the evil worried also despite the opposition of his brother and went to the sea to come out. As expected, the newspaper always has its own sabotage. The boy's reckless actions made the whole children run to protect. Evil Worry quickly found his friend, but it was involved in the positioning devices of the hunters. The crowd hurriedly climbed up the animal to take care of. Evil removes the device but fails, but the other side of the ship's hunting is approaching. There is no other way. The children have contacted to ask for help. Why do you keep me from time to time? The father had to ask the kids to find ways to retreat, and everyone in the clan rushed to the saving. There are sentences to the woman's house, so the patriarch's wife, though pregnant, also decided to close the enemy. This side humbly dared to unplug the monitoring device on the Pujakanza and decided to use it to distract the hunters, and the children spread out to flee. But if I had not been able to go, the chief's daughter's riding was hit by a bullet. Fortunately, the evil was timely swimming to save the beauty. However, when he just reunited with Pesajera and his youngest sister, then the hunters shot the net and threw them on the train. Having an expensive hostage, mice immediately threatened to Torn alone on the train to resolve the conflict.
If the children will die on the spot, there was no other way. He had to follow the request of the colonel. Thinking that this would be a sad ending for the Na'vi national hero, Pajakan suddenly flew off the surface of the water. It used the meat to crush the person to land straight down to peel off the ship, then rebelled the enemy to become chaotic. With harder skin than my iron and steel, the monster tried to sweep the sky and rushed into the sea to escape. Tearing with the villagers now rushed to attack, but Mice and his accomplices quickly regained his calm defenses. At this time, Naitiri rode the dragon from the sky to fly down and Arrow to shoot down the soldiers on the train. Tearing with land villagers to the bottom of the sea avoids the rain, and then chasing the opportunity to attack. With the ability to sis off them, Naitiri flies to where the network comes there. Even human helicopters were sold by her as sung. Tear is not inferior when using a rifle close to each guy. At the bottom of the sea, Kiri uses a spiritual way to connect spiritually so that marine creatures to go to her side to attack the soldiers. The posture now leaned to the righteous side. On the central control ship, Spider witnessed his friends in danger, so he could not ignore it anymore. The boy used a fire extinguisher to hit the soldier's head.
then tried to sabotage, causing the commander to lose the direction to work hard to crush the boat of the hunters. It just stopped after stabbing a few reefs. And it is also impossible to participate in the war anymore because it was seriously damaged. This side is the colonel because the feud has been Neytiri killed, so he decided to hunt down. He rode the rifles continuously towards her, but did not win any cap. Not only that, it was also torn to drove the animal suddenly flying. From under the water, he attacked him to be thrown into the sea. On the other hand, the hunters still fiercely followed Pajakin, but Kun corrugated iron is known as a smart creature 10 times more than humans. He used his trick to go to iron to dodge a slope for an hour. Then take advantage of the cable that the enemy releases, cut the ship, and drag it to your own will. The leader is the hunter who killed Pajakin's mother and its fellow. Like a cat when hunting, Pajakin gardened with enemies made him fall into despair, and then launched a blow. At the same time, Netezim sneaked onto the rescue boat for Lo, Evil and tucked Tyri and Tessie boats out of the handcuffs. But instead of fleeing to the guild with his parents, when his younger brother reported heavily, he asked his brother to return to save Spider. Just lost 3 hostages on the train, so the colonel quickly rode back to the base. He accidentally captured Kiri and threw it on the train. Seeing her sister being arrested, Tuck Tyri decided to return to rescue, because this family has a reason that is always united. But before she could cut the brilliant wire, the colonel had turned around to grab her. So the 2 sisters were reunited with each other in happiness, and the chief's daughter was thrown into the water. In the ship's compartment, the 2 Netezim brothers saved Spider, but accidentally let the guards discovered. The elder brother decided to let his 2 younger siblings and himself, then stayed in the enemy. Netezim then quickly jumped into the sea to avoid bullets, just in time when the chief's daughter riding an animal ran to rescue. But at this time, the whole group discovered that the elder had hit the bullet, so he immediately took Netezim to a nearby island, returning to his parents' arms. The eldest brother just denied that he wanted to go home, then the last breath in Neytiri's despair, crying. The pain of losing the talented son obediently could not be absorbed. The old mice contacted the request to tear the life in exchange for 2 daughters. He tried to persuade his wife to regain his spirit to save his children. Neytiri's gaze was full of hatred for the enemy to sacrifice his son. Worrying about going with his father, but tearing coldly, he left the newspaper enough and left him, leaving his father to carry his heart again. Bring the pain in the torn heart, Spider quickly approached the ship. Under the guidance of the boy, he came to the bong in the middle of Kiri, and Tyri is being arrested. He ruined an engine to form a big explosion that made the fire burn the fire, plus his wife. From the sky, the gun shot and killed continuously, causing the soldiers to be extremely panicked. The other side also applies all advantages from Phi Dai, shooting to the strength of strangling to throw the opponent. Mice for a while, the bullet was out, so he pulled a torn knife to the torn knife. Neytiri was about to shoot, but the battle ahead was too chaotic, so she did not dare to move because she was afraid to see off her husband. At this moment, a fool from where to rush to eat immediately a dead heart to die. There is no arrow. In her hand, she immediately used the bow to move the soldiers. When defeating the last soldier on the train was also the time when the legendary palace broke. Then Torn came to take off the dazzling for Tyri, but Kiri was captured by mice. He told the knife on her neck, then forced the male lead to lower the weapon and dazzle himself. At dangerous moment, Neytiri grabbed Spider, asking the name of the colonel to release Kiri. Otherwise, the network will change the network.
To the colonel declared that he did not care. But when he saw the boy who was cut by Neytiri's knife on his chest, he began to flinch. At the same time, she was angry with the knife and aimed at Spider's neck. Then he panicked. Kiri came out to save his son's life. After the children were safe, Tyr their wives to bring their children to the shore of their children to stay in the face of the enemy. After saying that, both of them rushed into each other to fight the dust bag as if they had nothing to lose. But at this time, Neytiri and the children were surrounded by oil on the sea. But the giant ship also began to sink, so they could not slice because of the strong suction force. The moment the male lead was pushed down by Mies, and Tyri was swirled into the hull. Neytiri could not abandon her child, so Ty Lee and Spider tried to escape the vortex. Despite finding the child, the water began to spill in like a great rose, making Neytiri unable to open the escape compartment and stuck. Then the ship has adjusted underwater, but tearing with mice, still harsh roofs of martial arts are very fierce. The name of the colonel took advantage of the body trapped by the male neck. Thought about to be reunited with grandparents, the ship was completely adjusted to the bottom of the sea, creating a shock that made all of them help tear out of danger. The chance he hugged his neck outside the posture, then closed hard. Well, the wrong tightening shows the love of Benthuan, for until he fainted in happiness to let go. Thinking that the enemy was green, so he rushed into the train compartments, but he was exhausted. Kiri and Spider also quickly sought to rescue her mother and sister. She, using spiritual power to control the glowing marine creatures to find relatives. Spider, thanks to oxygen presence, he could breathe underwater, so he hurriedly searched. But the person he found was not Torn, but a dying mice. Thinking back to his crimes, Spider was about to ignore death. But in the end, he could not see his father died like that, so he had to pull him onto the water as if repaying his life when he was tortured before. Under the ships of the newspaper, he also found a fastidious father. He pulled his father onto the surface of the water to breathe and suggested that both of them would swim out of here, because oxygen was about to end. But Torn at this time was too much, so his son removed his face. Evil, of course, did not obey, so he instructed his father to practice breathing like the sea, but mention the sea of the sea, not knowing what the hell they are now. On the other side of the sea creature, glowing under the direction of Kiri, found her mother and sister, then instructed the two of them to escape from here safely. In the end, the whole family was reunited, and the newspaper of the evil life has done a right thing. However, everything still could not end, because the colonel was still alive. He wanted Spider to follow him, but the boy said and then chose to return to his torn family, after the great male lead and his family sent to see him off, to the soul of the country. Although very painful, he had to accept his best son had gone. Because he did not want to add more complex borders for the tribe, he wanted to take the whole family to leave. However, the patriarch kept him back, because they saw Tearing and his family as an inseparable member. So from here, the Torn family has a second home to eat thanks to beans. The movie coming here is the end. How do you feel about this movie? Leave your opinion below, and if you enjoy seeing the video, please leave a subscribe and click on the bell for receiving my new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.